This is Adam King from Aliens Don't Ring Doorbells, and you're listening to Madness to Creation.
Go ahead, say it.
Welcome to the Madness to Creation podcast for self-care and music merge. This is Maddie. How are you? Hopefully you enjoyed the previous podcast with Cassandra on our first ever Unsigned Sunday edition. If you want to be part of the Unsigned Sunday edition of our podcast, please email us at madnesscreation@gmail.com. We would love to have you on. And we are also looking at setting up a Patreon as well, and there will be details coming forth with the Patreon. And while you're at it, follow Cassandra at Cassandra on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And also check out her single 21 Region via Spotify. And on this special episode, we have Dolf of The Dorst of the legendary band The Datsuns, who recently released an album entitled Eye to Eye on May 28th. Mark Dean, who does interviews with Anti-Hero Magazine, The Spill Magazine, and Madness of Creation, did this interview with Dolf, and it was just a fantastic conversation about the album and the legacy of the band and everything like that. And hopefully you guys get some good knowledge on the writing process of the Datsuns and everything like that. And I really want to encourage you to check out the album. And it kind of mixes some vibes of Deep Purple with Mark Bolan and Alice Cooper and everything like that. If you like fuzz, if you like sci-fi squeal, if you like a little bit of spaz, a little bit of dive bombing tones, if you like quality instrumental breaks, this band is definitely for you. And check out the Datsuns on Facebook and Instagram, and also pick up Eye to Eye wherever music is sold, or if you can't get access to a record store, find it on Spotify, Amazon, or anything like that. And on that note, here's our conversation. Mark Dean with Dolf of The Dorst of the Datsuns. Take away, Mark, Dolf.
It's been super weird. But on the other hand, it's like someone handing you an opportunity. Okay, now you can just focus on being creative for a while and, go wild. But then, of course, your family is home and you're all kind of stuck in the same space, and you don't really get a chance to do that. So it's been really strange. There's been a lot of sitting around and waiting for things to happen and just trying to focus on family stuff, really.
Yeah, I guess that's the positive thing that has come out of it. It allows people to sort of bond together and spend more time together. Yep,
definitely. I think, in the Western world, we usually, we don't really understand how messed up things can be, in life, and how weird things can get, and it's been like a real big dose of that. It feels real science fiction, a lot of the time, geez, what's happening now, kind of thing.
Yeah, and this is especially being in the music business for so long, your family aren't used to having you around so much, when you're touring.
Yeah, being on the road, especially in the summers and things, that was really weird. I'm usually away doing festivals and that kind of thing, and summer was actually pretty good last year. It was pretty fun. We got out and did lots of things, but Sweden, I live in Sweden, so it can be pretty brutal in the winter, and it's these same four walls kind of thing.
Yeah. I found personally, I didn't do any work or any paid income for 5 or 6 months, and mentally, I found you can be the strongest person in the world, but it starts getting to you mentally as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like you're sort of sitting in your own
bubble
head, and and then kind of you get these kind of loops of the same thoughts going round and round, and oh man, when is this going to finish? And I'll be calling Christian from the Datsuns. He lives in London, so we're in the same time zone. The other guys live in New Zealand, so I'd call him every day. Okay, what's happening today, man? What's changed? He's like, listen, man, it's the same as yesterday.
yeah. Anyway, you have a new album out. It's just about to be released. When was that album done? Was it pre-COVID, during COVID, bit of both?
Pre-COVID, so it was mixed the end of 2019. But it did take a long time for us to kind of get it finished. We started recording it in 2016 when we were in New Zealand on tour, and decided, let's go in the studio for a few weeks. And then I kind of took the recordings back to Sweden and just worked on them on and off in between other things that I was doing and other sort of projects I was involved with. And we finally kind of got it all together in 2019, and we said, all right, we're going to hit the road. It's going to be great. 2020.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Boom.
Then, of course, yeah.
How do you work in terms of creating an album? Obviously, this is the first album in quite some time from the Datsuns. Do you have like a song creation process, and you follow it pretty much all the way through, the same each time? Do you have song ideas sketched out before you go into the studio? Do you create in the studio? How do you operate?
It's really different these days. We do it like so many different ways. Like I could bring in a complete song and say it goes like this.
Yeah.
You guys do your thing. Here's the chords. Here's the lyrics. Here's the melodies. I need something for this section. Help me finish it. Other times, you know, the other guys will come in and be like, I've got these guitar parts. I want it to go from here to here. And then we usually, because I'm the singer, I usually say, oh, how about we change to this chord instead, because I can hear melodically how it'll work better for me. So we try all sorts of different things, and usually in the studio we kind of make up a few things kind of on the fly in the studio too.
Yeah.
So we try everything. It used to be a much more kind of rigid process. Christian used to write most of the music, and then I would try to set my vocal stuff to what he was doing. But these days it's a bit more kind of all over the place, which is probably better for everyone's imagination and egos and things too.
Yeah. Over the last year or so, bands have sort of seemed to have taken on board the on-streaming shows concept. Is that something that you've dabbled with, avoided? What's your view on that kind of thing?
Well, I haven't really. The choice has been kind of taken away from me. I mean, I live in Stockholm. Christian lives in London. The other two guys live in New Zealand. And unless we do that kind of thing where they kind of split up the screen in four, which I'm not super keen on, I want us to be able to actually play with each other.
Yeah, it doesn't really work, does it?
No. There's been talk of doing the odd thing, but I've seen some really amazing stuff, you know, people playing in really weird places and just setting up in the middle of nowhere, that kind of thing. But we'll just have to wait till we get back together and be in the same hemisphere at least.
Yeah. Just reading the press release for the new album, it highlights Deep Purple as a comparative sound influence. Personally, I can't see that myself. But how would you describe? How would you yourself describe the Datsuns to someone maybe who's unfamiliar with the band?
Okay, if it's someone that's unfamiliar with the band, I'd say it's either like if a pop band from the 70s is trying to play heavy music, or if it's like a heavy band trying to make pop music. You know what I mean? It's like
sort of a fusion of pop and rock.
I guess so. We'll usually try to keep things into like quite a compact like songwriting format, you know, like Beatles style. Like we like to make everything happen within 2 or 3 minutes. But you know, there's plenty of like high energy kind of action stuff going on too.
Yeah. Just wondered if you could. It's difficult, I understand, with the new album. I just wonder if you could pick a couple out and basically outline how they came to be created.
Sure. There's a song called Dehumanise, which is the first song on the album, and it's the third single from the album too. I was on tour with another band I play for, Imperial State Electric, and we were opening for a band called Graveyard, a Swedish band. And we were on tour in Europe, and because we were opening, you know, we're just doing these 30-minute shows. There's so much downtime on that tour. So I was just spending a lot of time on the tour bus just writing songs. And usually what I do is I don't really like, I mean, you've got so many tools these days to make demos with, you know, drum machines and all sorts of things, but I like it to sound quite organic. So usually I go and find these isolated drum tracks, you know, from like classic rock stuff and play along with that.
Right.
And like make, you know, and loop like Keith Moon and use that for a demo, or I can't even remember what I used for that song. But anyway, I wrote most of that in just a day, and you know, just half an hour. Like this is kind of interesting, playing around, and then that's kind of the story of that song. I was trying to like stuff we were trying to write about was just kind of the weird way that we interact with our phones and computers and the getting back to the science fiction thing, it's also like otherworldly and quite weird. I think when you take a step back from it, that's kind of what that song's about.
It's actually been, 6-7 years since the release of your last album, Deep Sleep, in 2014.
Yeah.
Was that long period of no album a conscious decision for you guys to take a break, or was it primarily because you've been just busy touring the world?
Well, we toured for a while on that record, and we decided, so that was the end of 2014, and actually start of 2016 we said, let's write another record, and we'll do it like Deep Sleep. We'll just go in the studio and spend like 2 weeks and just write and record and go. And then we did that and kind of bit off a little more than we could chew. I wanted to be, musically it was kind of almost done, but I think for me, like lyrically and melodically and all that kind of stuff, it was just like not happening, and I needed to sort of go home. My wife and I had just had our first child at the end of 2015. I just kind of wanted to focus on that, basically.
Sure, yeah. Priorities change, don't they, when family gets extended?
Yeah, but I think also, like, when you become a parent for the first time, or any time, maybe, some kind of, at least for me, there was some kind of existential kind of, like, flip in the mind, just like, man, what's happening now? Like, the way you view so many things is different, and
it's a total readjustment of priorities, I think, isn't it, really? But you're focusing on somebody else rather than yourself.
Yeah, and I think especially, like, when you've been living off your art, or something like that, you can be very, I mean, I was 36 when I became a parent, and, as you spend most of my adult life just worrying about myself.
Yeah.
Not completely selfish, but pretty self-centered. And I think it comes with being an artist in a way. Like, you put yourself out there, and that's part of the job in a way. Hopefully it doesn't, like, devolve into narcissism, but, you're putting yourself on stage, you're putting yourself sort of out there. And I think when there's someone else there, you think, all right, it has to be about them now.
Yeah,
and
sure.
To a certain, majority about them, but also, like, you start thinking, like, oh man, this is a pretty messed up place. Like, I've just brought somebody else into this.
Yeah.
And you start kind of just thinking how you can rearrange things and do things differently. So I think the fact that it took till the end of 2019 was just me kind of figuring out, okay, how do I want to do this now?
Yeah. Your debut album, hit #1 in your own country, New Zealand, that must have brought huge pressure for anything that you released after that, or anything that you did after that.
I guess so.
It's set the bar high.
Yeah, it's kind of a long time ago now, but the thing with that is, it's like, I don't know, you just kind of accept it as sort of part of the reality of the situation at the time, and then you just have to kind of move on and do the next one. Hopefully it excites you in the same way. Like, that kind of thing, that can't really be the metric.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know what, because, 6 months before we put that record out, or a year before, people were saying, why are you even doing this? So it's kind of, you kind of have to sort of, I don't know, try to see the reality of it.
What was your first exposure to music growing up?
From my parents.
Yeah.
My parents were not like record collectors or anything like that. They were into just kind of whatever was on the radio. But and I remember them playing like Boney M and stuff like that. To be honest. But my mother she had some cassette tapes, and I think it was like Nina Simone, Cinnamon, something like that. And I just listened to that again recently, and it's just a masterpiece. So, that kind of really, like, got into my brain.
Musicians tend to have a variety of influences. Have you ever had any desire to step outside the musical boundaries of the Datsuns and create music in a different musical genre or style?
Well, the thing is, I play in a few other bands now.
Right.
In Paris, that it's just more like power pop, I guess. And then I've been playing bass live for the helicopters.
All right, yeah.
That's been super fun because I don't wear the same sort of artistic hat. You know, I don't have the same hang up.
Yeah.
Because I'm literally playing live, and it's really fun. I just get to concentrate on being musical in a different way. I just focusing on playing bass, and I do some backing vocals and stuff, but I don't have to feel self-conscious.
Yeah.
I definitely want to try some sort of other things now. I'm constantly writing different kinds of music, but you know, if that ever surfaces, it's not like it's going to be a massive surprise to anyone. It won't be like funk or polka or anything.
Yeah.
Although I reserve the right to do that if I feel like it.
It's your choice, isn't it? Yeah. Do you have any interests or hobbies outside music? Obviously now your family, you've got a child and stuff. I guess that's doesn't leave you much time for any interests or hobbies.
I mean, I've got two now, and they're both so 6 and youngest is 18 months, so it's quite difficult to find time
It
to do
is.
anything else. But, I like being outdoors with the family, and I like hiking and sort of walking, being away from other people.
Yeah, we all need a little bit of space sometimes.
I think hello.
Yeah, just got a couple more for you. Obviously, songs only gain their wings, I feel, personally, when performed live. As it stands, what's the plans in terms of tour dates? Do you have things?
Well, we're kind of a bit locked down with this
Yeah.
COVID situation. But New Zealand is actually all opened up. I mean, you can't get into New Zealand, but if you can get in there through the quarantine, I mean, you could do that, I guess. All the shows are happening, and there's all sorts of stuff going on there. So perhaps at the end of this year, we'll get a chance to do that.
Yeah.
Vaccines starting to roll out.
Do you have touring plans for maybe the UK and Europe?
Definitely, but that'll be next year, I guess.
Yeah. Just a final one then. If the roles were reversed and you could personally interview a hero or inspiration, who would you like to interview? Maybe not even a musician.
The thing is, if I got a chance to interview people, you know, let's say it's like Iggy Pop or someone like that, I would be so nervous of asking a dumb question, or do you know what I mean? Like I'd be so nervous. I think I'd be a terrible interviewer. So somebody like that would be great. Or like a Paul McCartney or someone like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. Thanks for chatting to me. And as I say, I'm glad we finally got the opportunity to do this.
Me too. Yeah, and once again, apologies for the other evening.
You're all right. As I say, I'm a father myself. These things arise, and I know exactly that things get changed at sort of last minute plans get put to the side. Brilliant. Thank you for chatting to me.
Thanks for your time.
No problem. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye. He said hello to you when you walked in. Yeah, because you can see, obviously. Right, what you